Hi and welcome. It's Jennifer Britton. I want to welcome you back to the January 21st, 2019 Coaching Business Builder and PlanDoTrack community call or virtual book club call. As an author in bringing out my work into the world, really excited to be hosting these calls. I know so many people look forward to them, and even if you can't join us live, I hope that you'll catch up on the recording afterwards. These are short 30-minute calls to take a deeper dive into both books. Today's topic is 5 productivity hacks. So I want to just let you know, if this is the first time you found the book, welcome. I'm hoping that you might have caught it in December. I did 14 days of planning, doing, and tracking from December 7th to 21st as launch for the PlanDoTrack Workbook and Planner. So I've had a lot of fun, even in the last couple of weeks, taking this book out into the world. Last week, I spoke to 2 groups on Wednesday. One was in person here in Toronto, and that was the ICF Toronto chapter. Had about 70 people engaging in Coaching Business Builder with me. We had a very interactive session. If you find me on LinkedIn, you'll see what a couple of people said about that session. Highly impactful. And earlier that day, I spent time in a virtual group with Denise Wakeman's Visibility Mastery Lab. Really enjoyed joining them, bringing to them PlanDoTrack. And again, these are sister or sibling books. So just a reminder that PlanDoTrack is really geared to virtual professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs, team workers, and Coaching Business Builder is very similar, but it's geared to coaches building their own professional business. So today, with that in mind, given that 2019 is all about getting things done, wanted to take us into some of what you might have read already is what are my 19 productivity tips for 2019. So I started this series over on one of my sister blogs, that's the Teams 365 blog, in December, and it's been rolling for quite a few weeks now. I do about 2 posts a day, or 2 posts a week, excuse me, and so we are now sort of winding down. I think they'll take us into the middle of February. What I wanted to do was actually pull 5 of my favorite productivity tips from the 19 for 2019 series and share them with you. So whether you're a virtual professional, whether you are a coach, whether you're a leader or a team worker, I think you'll find all of these interesting. And just a reminder, if this is the first time you've stumbled onto these virtual book club calls, I do them regularly, once or twice a month. My January 7th call was called Creating an Annual To-Do List. And even if you find this in, I don't know, March or June, it's never too late to create your annual plan. I think in some respects, it's actually better to not do it in January. In January, so many of us have the pressure of getting that list to do, and it might feel like what you see, all the puzzle pieces or all the Post-it notes on the calendar there. As I spoke last week, we went through some very strategic planning for our businesses and also got people to lock into their top 5. As you consider your annual plan this year, what are your essential elements? Personally, I had a lot of fun in December going through and identifying my key annual goals. I came away with a completed master list, also an annual vision list. That can be really important to keep it front and center. So think about your annual plan, what's absolutely essential, what are those elements that you want to have, whether it's just a monthly look at it or whether it is a full-blown list. You will know what's going to work best for you. Today, I wanted to take us further into the book. We're going to be looking at sort of elements of productivity because I write about it in Fundamentals, in the Primer, in Marketing Essentials, and also the Ecosystem. So depending on what your plan looks like, my guess is you've got a lot of stuff. That could be overwhelming, and we really want to get traction because daily steps plus consistent action equals momentum. That is truly the tagline of this. And as I pulled together these tips, I thought it would be really important to link in and loop in a number of different elements. So if you're on Instagram, you might know that I am over at Coaching Biz Builder. Over on Instagram, my feed there is called @CoachingBizBuilder. We're at about day 116 of the 90 days PlanDoTrack. And yes, I know we're beyond 90 days, but I decided to keep it going this year. And with that, it's about giving you a daily quote, a daily question, to get you thinking about and taking action on your work or your business. So tip number 1 brings me back to a writing I pulled from Coaching Business Builder and PlanDoTrack. It says, I write, "Our vision pulls us through the choppy and sometimes turbulent waters of business and life." And I'd like you to think about your vision for this year, for your work right now. How clear is it? And or how is it helping you move through the ups and downs of somewhat turbulent waters of business and life? Having a clear vision, having a touch point, returning back to it regularly can be very, very beneficial. And what's interesting is we can capture our vision in different ways. So as much as I share a variety of tools in the Coaching Business Builder, including page 99 in Coaching Business Builder, or 101, I've got those pages right. Actually, it's 95 in Coaching Business Builder, 99 in PlanDoTrack. It can be really useful to write out our vision. So if you haven't done that, do that now. And every year I capture my vision in this book. I say yes to this and no to that. So I did this back in November. What's sort of interesting is I haven't looked at it since then. So I had a 2018 plan nicely laid out. I also have my 2019 plan. And what was interesting last year, I did a roadmap of 2018. A lot of these things really came to fruition. 2019, I'm looking forward to a lot of work. Much of it is in the flow already. I'm sort of excited about all the speaking I'm getting to do. And this year, rather than a roadmap, I decided to do some 2018 programming. Where I'm focusing is trying to maximize my effort, not trying to, I am maximizing my effort, maximizing profit, looking at passive revenue, and looking at the ongoing foundation of the business. Magnification is my theme this year, and I'm really thinking about how I can leverage my own resources, my time, to help impact more people. I want to be directly impacting this year over 50,000 professionals, 25,000 coaches, 25,000 leaders. And well on the way, I have to say, as we move in. So the nice thing about this work, and part of my magnifying, maximizing, is I'm pulling elements actually today from the 19 for 2019 series. If you are a professional and you're interested in this topic, come and join me at the Team's 365 Leadership Lab. This month, the free resource was a 21-page ebook where I share all of these tips. If you're a coach, I'm going to be going through these, continuing to go through these in the PlanDoTrack Coaching Business Builder series, where weekly, every Friday, I share a weekly tip and idea from both books. And so you'll see an iteration of these there as well. So part of having a clear vision is actually working through questions. I've included many of the questions that come from page 95 or 99 of the book. I'd like you to take some time this week, if you don't have one already, to actually map out your vision. What is on that vision for 2019? Because without a clear vision, it's hard to know where to go. Tip number 1 wraps up with this notion of your annual plan. And I sort of showed you a copy of mine earlier on. In the workbooks, there is an annual planning session, an annual vision statement. I'd love for you to write out your goals, well, not only your financial goals, but your client goals for the year, any product or program goals that you have planned. Maybe there are some health and lifestyle goals. Certainly, I have really included those in mine. I swim 5 to 6 times a week. I walk. I try to get in at least 12,500 steps every day. And that's really key. And that's been something I've been doing consistently for the last year and a half, since I had to have some surgery, and I knew that was my wake-up call. Also on your annual vision, there's space for you to note any marketing or promotional goals. That could be advocacy goals if you're a leader, project goals, as well as some other space. So if you haven't taken time to work out your annual plan, now is the time. And if you are finding it of use, do check out the annual to-do list, which was our last PlanDoTrack call. You can find that, probably the easiest way is to go over to youtube.com and find my name, Jennifer J. Britton, or Effective Group Coach, and look for the PlanDoTrack community call from January 7th, 2019. So vision, what is linked there? Number two, once you've got your vision, I think it's key to start dropping into what are your top 3 priorities. Last week when I was speaking, I talked a lot about getting people to identify their top 5 priorities. On an annual basis, probably 5 or 10 is more your number. What are those things you want to do regularly, consistently, etc.? And as you can see, this is not something I've just started talking about. This blog tip, actually, over on your left, as you can see, comes from a series I did in 2016 over at the Teams 365 blog. For those that are new team leaders, definitely check out the Teams 365 blog. I did a whole slew of new team leader tips, and this was number 18. What are your priorities? As you can see from the workers here on the right, the team members, we have a lot of ideas. We can probably fill our time, but what are the top 3 priorities? We may be asking ourselves this question annually, monthly, quarterly, as well as every week and every day. In fact, I like to start every day noting down my top 3. And that's something that I really aim towards. If there are only 3 things I can get done today, what are those? And I always try to get at least the top 1, if not top 2 done before I start my calls. That to me is critical. It also means that I'm in the office really super early and, try to get those key business elements out of the way. So tip number 2, also in the 19 for 19, is a quote, and it is, what are your top 3 priorities? Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote, things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. So vision, keeping that in mind, start each day with your list of the top 3 to 5 priorities. Try to keep them visible in a place that can remind you of what you want to get done, helping you make decisions about where to focus your time. Very easy to fall into the trap of the shiny red object, the shiny red bouncing ball or other. And those are the things that can look really alluring, but are they helping you in your business? So for someone like me, I want to ask, is it maximizing? And I know for me, I create a lot of content, and I want to make sure that that content is going out in many different ways. I also want to make sure that I'm in front of people that are going to benefit from my work. And that's where these virtual book club calls have become really essential in getting the message out. So think about yourself. What are your top 3 priorities? Take a moment before moving on to identify those top 3 priorities for today, this week, this month, and this quarter. Pause if you need to. And when you're ready, join me in the next tip I've pulled for this series. And that's one of my favorites. Tip number 3, systematize. So this is a great photo my virtual assistant found. What systems will support you? And I love this notion of the hand holding up the tree trunk. Really, in systematizing, we're putting things into place that are replicable, things that we can automate, things that we can do regularly to help us in our business. Systems are meant to support. And as business grows, as teams grow, we need to stop doing things very ad hoc, moving them into a streamlined process through which tasks can be done consistently. So I write in both books, in section number 3, systems can support us in 3 key areas: in sales and marketing, in products and programs, in client or customer outreach, in financial channels, as well as communication channels. And my invite this month is for you to think about, what are the systems you have in place in your work right now? If you're a virtual or remote team leader, what do you have in place that helps you have consistent conversations with people across the team? If you're a virtual team member, how are the things that you're doing systematically helping you do things consistently to someone in a different location? And this is really where I came into this area of systems many, many moons ago. So as a virtual team leader myself, what I noticed as I stepped into my role working with members across a country, which could take days to travel in those days, or even 10 countries. I had staff in 10 countries. And in that work, it was really important that we had team member A and team member B in 2 different countries doing something similar. They both represented the organization. We wanted to make sure that they were giving consistent messaging, and that's where systems came into play. So think about your work. If you are a solopreneur, it's probably systems for yourself. If you're a leader, it's probably thinking about systems that are going to help you scale your work as a leader, but also systems for the team to make sure that they're doing things consistently. Now, this becomes not tip 3, but tip 5 in the 19 for 2019. And I pull in there on a couple of things. So every tip in the 19 for 2019 has a tip. William W. Edwards Deming, who is well known for his work in quality, wrote, "If you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing." And I think it's really key as our work grows to really think about how could this work be handed off to someone else as the work grows. So notice what you have in place for these different areas. What are the things that are working? What might need adjustment? And when are you going to expand them? Take a few moments before moving on. This is our third in today's 5 series, although if you have a copy of the 19 for 2019 productivity tips from me, you'll definitely want to check out tip number 5, which is all about systems. And that brings me to tip number 4 for today's series, and that is all about the circadian rhythm. As a young university student at McGill studying psychology many, many moons ago, I was so intrigued by this notion that there are times of day. Here's the notion of the circadian rhythm. There are times of day when we are at our best. And actually, that was 3 decades ago. Interestingly enough, Daniel Pink's latest book, 2018, was called When. So I've pulled a couple of quotes from his book. He writes, "Perhaps a main conclusion to be drawn from studies on the effects of time of day on performance is that the best time of day to perform a particular task depends on the nature of that task." So you do want to start noting when are you at your best and what type of tasks do you need to undertake. Again, this is tip 4 in this series, but if you have the 19 for 2019 productivity tips, check out tip number 11. And what Daniel Pink goes into, obviously at a lot greater depth than I'm touching on here, is that we do want to make sure that we are focusing on things at an appropriate time for our energy. So he refers to what's known as the Munich Chronotype Questionnaire. When are you at your best? And for years I've been asking people the question, when do you focus the best? Are you a person who likes to get up early and get stuff done in the quiet hours of the morning? Or maybe you're like a night owl. Maybe you are the type of person that gets stuff done really well later at night. What we want to be aware of is when does it work for us? And when are we able to get the most work done of different types? Think about your energy flow, and it often is not necessarily a static line. I think it's an up and a down. And you'll want to think about your own scheduling and what are the different areas you want to focus on. What I found interesting, and I've always wondered why I'm such an early bird. I thought it was because I lived in the Caribbean for a decade. And in the Caribbean, you're up with the sun and down with the sun. Literally things, because of the heat, because of just the way, well, not the way everything works, but, historically, the sun would rise, it would get really hot, you'd get your work done early in the morning, sort of like downshift it over the hot lunchtime hours when the sun was at its peak, and then get back into rhythm before the end of the day. I've retained that. I really love getting up, even though here in Canada this morning, it was minus 24 degrees Celsius. That's below 0 Fahrenheit. It certainly wasn't time to get up and do the work, but that's when my brain is on. I'm ready to roll. I do my best writing. I do my best, sort of hard work. So very much, notice when you're at your best. Daniel Pink did some studies, and he noted that in those studies, people born in the fall and winter were more likely to be a lark or someone who gets up early, whereas people born in the spring and summer are more likely to be owls. That explains a lot in my family. I'm the only one born in November. Everyone else is May, June, and they love staying up. It's a challenge, but, moods are an internal state. Finalizing this with Daniel Pink, and as he writes, but they have an external impact. Try as we might to conceal our emotions, they inevitably leak, and that shapes how we respond to our words and actions. And anyone in my family knows if you try to get me in conversation after 10 p.m., I'm done. I am done. I am in bed en route to the morning hours. I will tell people to come back at 5 a.m. All right. So think about when you are at your best. And the final tip that I wanted to leave you with today is something I call the 3 bullet points. Whether you're a leader, a business owner, getting to the point, being succinct with your ideas and your prompts are really key. So I'm leaving you with tip number 5, 3 bullet points. This actually becomes the last bullet point of the whole book. And Blaise Pascal, well-known French, I believe, mathematician, wrote, "I have made this longer than usual because I have not had time to make it shorter." Brevity is an art form. And whether we are communicating for work, pleasure, or business, we do want to think about upcoming presentations and marketing messages we're getting across. People remember the start and end of things. That's known as a latency and recency effect, but they forget the middle. In fact, there's a book out on the market that I must read, and it's called The Messy Middle. And I am sure that it talks about how we forget, and maybe how the middle part is really, really messy. Well, that's great in life, but if you're doing a presentation, we want to hit the high notes. We want to reinforce the high notes, the start, the midpoint, and the end. And this is where 3 bullet points can really make a big difference. So think about something upcoming that you have. If you were to distill it down into 3 bullet points, what would those be? Think about the audience now. What's important to them? Is their voice represented in this? What action do you want them to undertake? And I'd invite you again to rewrite your 3 bullet points now. Finally, as a third step, think about that overarching arch of the presentation. What do you want to reinforce at the start, middle, and end? And see if there is anything else that you'd want to change with your 3 bullet points. My aim today was to give you some specific things that you could look at doing, moving from vision, moving into your communication, and looking at your systems to help you be more effective as a professional. I'm enjoying really bringing these books out into the world, PlanDoTrack and Coaching Business Builder. Certainly, if you're looking in the book for more resources, check out section 4, for example. I've got on page 114 of PlanDoTrack, so about 112 of Coaching Business Builder, a little section here called Keys for Productivity. I go into getting into action, focus, and we also have some productivity tools there that you might find useful. As you consider your annual plan and all the tasks on your list, what is absolutely essential? If I were to encourage you to bullet things down into your top 3 to 5, what would those be? What you can see here on the screen is the backside of a business card I did last week. I'm just moving my screen down just to show you the business cards that I brought. Rather than give people another piece that they were going to bin, I did a calendar. And on the back, a reminder of what people's top 3, top 5 were. Comments were very savvy, Jennifer. Thank you for including this as something useful, and it was great for you to have your message on the back. So I'm going to be with those folks for the rest of the year. Who knows? Our word does travel. As we go to wrap up our call today, I'd like you to think about what are the areas you want to grow in and what you want to put on your to-do list. As always, I hope that this has been a useful call, and if you're interested or you know of others interested, do pick up a copy over at Amazon. Maggie DeStasi left a recent review. She said it's a must read for the professional coach and business owner. That's Coaching Business Builder. And she writes one of the most comprehensive, professional, and currently relevant books I've seen on the topic. Building a financially successful coaching practice requires a variety of consistent efforts, which Jennifer Britton accounts for in detail. Just as importantly, she invites you to consider what is important to you as a coach and business owner and to align your business development efforts with your values. I've so enjoyed. I hope that maybe you'll create a pause with me. I have a Saturday, a Groundhog Day, PlanDoTrack virtual retreat coming up on February the 2nd. So if you're looking at a chunk of time to plan, get things done, and track, that is the time. And that program is going to run very unique hour from 2 to 6 p.m. on a Saturday. I don't do a lot of Saturday programs, but I will be doing a Saturday program virtually on Saturday, February 2nd. Hope that you might join us. Check it out at plandotrack.com. Look for the little icon for virtual retreat. With that, Hope that you dig into things longer term. There's lots going on in the leadership labs, in the coaching business growth lab for coaches, and also at the leadership and learning design studio. So with that, have a great week. Let's keep in touch. Definitely follow along, but not only at Jen Britton, but also at the Coaching Biz Builder. And I'll look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.